the second video I'm posting for cutting for beginners. In my first video on my YouTube channel, I already indicated that I'm going to post a series for students who are in school because I know that many barber schools use my videos, but also for salon owners who want to take a student by the hand to learn to cut. So this is the second one. What have I done? Increasing length, increasing layers. As I said, the names are all different. But what we are going to do in this video is learn how to cut long hair. Then a short layer at the front with a longer layer at the back with increasing lengths, increasing layers. Step by step, I will take you through this video on how to cut this dome best. Good luck, everyone. Here are some examples of increasing layers, increasing length. What do we need? 4 hair clips, a comb, a hairdresser scissors, and a water spray. We are going to start cutting with the star section soon. That means we're going to address all task points. If we project all the hair upwards, it aligns into one line. You can also see this in the graphic drawing. When the layers fall down, you get a layered pattern, increasing layers. So the front layer is a bit shorter and the back layer is longer. I'm going to section it again, but before you start cutting on your model, wash and condition it well. Make a middle parting on top of the head, and then again to the highest point of the head, a straight line down, and then you end just behind the ear. On the other hand, you do exactly the same. So from the highest point of the head, you grab the surface, comb and secure it with your clamp. It is very important when you start cutting on. When you're going to learn to cut, you need a good overview of your work, especially with this line. Make a middle parting at the back too. Comb the hair smoothly downwards and secure it in your clamp. Then the last area, come down well, fasten with your clamp, and then from here we can start with ours. Star department where we're going to cut. So I have 2 slices at the front, like here, and 2 at the back. So we start at the top. You choose an imaginary line that I show here. So you're going to project all the hair there. And in the star department, you take your sections up. Everything then goes from the highest point of the head. The first sectioning is the most important because it will determine the length of your entire dome. I take the first pass, take the second pass, take the third pass, and take dark. I'm taking my shortest layer where it comes into the face. So you take a front lock, you let it fall, then you can determine with your client where the shortest layer comes. You then cut that completely vertically. So a straight line. When you've made your first cut, you pick up your next pass, and that's the task points. So that's from the highest point from the head, so then you have it narrow, above the head and slightly wider towards the contour. I work with a traveling guideline. This means that I take my previous section with me because then I can exactly join my next section on it. You can see it very well here. I see my guideline coming through and make the connection. If you don't see your guideline, your passe is too thick. When you've done that, move on to your next task point. So also from the highest point from the highest. So I am making several pieces of pie in my first plane. The hair from the cut is applied, then also perpendicular from the head out. I take that traveling guideline with me because I want all the layers to connect with each other. You did a good job of keeping a good view. So I'm taking a piece of my previous passe with me again. Project it all the way up to that imaginary guideline. I see my guideline from my previous section, and that's where I join it nicely. Per plane, you then distribute about 5 to 6 pieces of pie. You always see me standing behind my section that I am cutting. This means that you have to walk around your client. So if you project all the hair upwards, you cut all the hair off at that imaginary guideline you drew. First, I'm starting with the 2 front planes. I've finished one area now and I'm starting the next area. So I'm also taking a piece of the first section I cut because I want to connect to that again. The department remains exactly the same. You've cut your passe, you comb it out, then you go back to your pie slice, to your star section. You comb it upwards and then you take a piece from your previous section again. So it's that traveling guideline where you're cutting, you project that hair straight up, cut it off completely, connect it well, and when you're cutting and your section is a bit too wide for your fingers, then take the passe one more time. Make sure you don't cut into your finger, and you're going to do this in the beginning, but you'll only do this a few times, and then you really know that you absolutely must overcut. You can see that here too. So I clip once or twice, then I get too close to the end of my finger, and then I grab it, I skip a strand, take it over once, that it goes back to the beginning of my fingers. It's going, then it goes forward in this way again. So always make sure that you keep a good overview of your work. Also keep the back flat in the clamps, projecting only on the front. And then proceed in that way, clean and good. What you have cut, that can go away. So now I have both fronts ready, and check yourself if you are equal on both sides. Otherwise, you can still carry out the correction now. When you have finished the two front sections, then you start on the back. So you remove your clamp and then we continue. Everything connects to each other. So with this pass, I also take a bit from the previous pass, projects it upwards, sees my guidelines coming through clearly, and connects them to each other. As I mentioned earlier, you see, if your guideline is not good, then your passe is too thick, and so do not work with too thick passes. Rather thin, then you just work systematically. Then when you take the pass very thick and you get a kind of wave motion in the hair, and we don't want that. Otherwise, we should become a nice straight line at the top. Because of the distance, in the neck area, further up, create longer layers. This is also the phenomenon of increasing layers. So the hair on top of the head, the distance is shorter to your guideline. But the distance, you can see it well here, in the neck area, it is further up. You think beautifully, I slim this, and then you also keep more hair length. So you can also cut this line at different hair lengths, but that's why the very first pass is so important, that you well determine together with your customer or with your model that you do not end too long or too short, because you don't want to redo your work. Area by area, that's how you finish your cut model. So as I started in the first area, I do the same with the other four. I divide everything into pie slices. I project everything upwards to my imaginary guideline. I constantly take from my previous passe, so I take a section to make everything fit precisely together. Highest point of our head, make a star section. Imagine a guideline above it in mind, determine the length with your customer, and then project all the hair upwards. Now you also see why it is so important that the first cutting line you set is so decisive for the look. So deal well with your client or your model. Determine what the shortest length at the front is, and if you're in doubt about the back length, you can project the back length upwards to that imaginary line, then let it fall down, and then you also know what happens. The bottom length is from your increasing layers. When you cut in this way, all the passes fit nicely together, but also in the same way. Even the four sections you have divided, they also nicely connect with each other. If you want to check yourself and you are working on a dummy head, you could take your dummy head off the stand at school. Keep it upside down and you should see a straight line. The one you have cut. When we are done cutting the four sections, We will then cut the outer line. You don't have to make any more departments for this because you've cut all the layers on the inside of the head. So we only have to do the outside of the hair. Here you see me cutting the last pass. And off we go. I've combed everything neatly downwards. I'm holding it lightly between my fingers now, and because it's in layers, the line you channel forward. You can see that here too. I follow the outer line with my fingers. So on the other hand, I'm doing exactly the same. So do you see the position of my fingers? Diagonal forward. And then finally we'll nicely align the layers in the face. Well, I'm turning down the madness here a bit. Then we're going to work from a middle parting. Then we go back to that first section. So middle parting, highest point of the head, straight line behind the eye. And then it's very important to project it very well to the front. Pay close attention to the position of my fingers where the hair is, so it does not go backwards. Pull it all the way forward and align all layers nicely. You do that on the other side too. So you go back to your department, middle part, highest point of the head. Also project forward well. Pay attention to the position of your fingers. You just snip it off with a clip, but your other hand determines the line that comes in. In this way, all layers connect nicely to each other. And so you have your increasing layers in it. Now I'm going to show you what you've created. So a shorter layer at the front, a longer layer at the back. That's exactly what we also want to create. This way, you also create a lot of movement in the hair. I'm already using most of KIS's mask here to put it in, to style it. I'm also going to work with a round brush because I want to create some volume now. And then it's also important to polish the hair. So with a descaling edge downwards, also blow dry. I will be putting more of my styling videos on my YouTube channel. But if you're interested in more of these educational videos, subscribe to my channel for free, and I would enjoy watching, and good luck with the practice.